Okay, thank you. So fantastic. We are going to be spending about 45 minutes together. It's kind of a weird skill to develop over the years, which is sort of talking to your own walls while knowing that there are a lot of people out there listening. So to that end, we have good technology here. So if I'm going along and a question comes up, feel free to go ahead and throw it in that Q&A box. I'll try to work it in if I see it. If I don't, Wendy will be helping us answer questions towards the end. We'll have 10 or 15 minutes to take care of that. And also, I'm very available on email or our Slack channel, which I'll provide you at the end also. So let's just get going. So in this webinar, I'm introducing you to an explicit innovation process. So the idea is that we're bringing open information data and content environments into the system of innovation and doing it in a very precise way. We use a natural systems approach. So over the years, I've done a lot of work on human-centric design processes, collaboration, peer programming. I've been a programmer. I've run teams. I've been in executive leadership. All along the gamut, and it's given me a really interesting perspective on innovation and project management. I've also been able to write 2 books on high-tech innovation and project management, and then 2 on designing high-tech products. So it all sort of came together in this book, Evolving Innovation Ecosystems, where we talk about a little bit of theory. So we all know about the reams of data that we're dealing with now, information and content. We understand that data is really the key to mass innovation, but it's not always clear what we can use, what we should be using, and how to get what it is that we think we need. So there is some theory to help us understand working with open information data and content, but frankly, there's not a lot. So there's always been sort of this fascination with Linux and how it came to be, and open communities, and that does play a role in helping us understand how to deal in kind of this unregulated world. But we don't need it to be as chaotic as often is presumed to be. And collaboration, you know, in some ways it's like innovation. It's become kind of a buzzy word. There's a lot of money tied up in products. A lot of our time goes into developing these collaborative and innovative environments. We pin a lot of our hopes to it, but we're not always really sure what it is. And my book, of course, is going to join a lot of other books on the bookshelves that some are full of inspiration, direct consulting, business and cultural philosophies that are all trying to help unlock thinking about innovation. But it's also really, really messy. And sometimes some of these books are just, they end up being really heavy-handed. And so in the interest of producing an innovative and collaborative environment, a company comes in and says, we're going to be innovative and collaborative now, and ends up sort of dropping this heavy process on the organization, which any of us who've been around at all know that a lot of time then gets spent working around that, especially by engineers. And other people are spending time trying to prevent the engineers from working around whatever it is. So let's just say that we know that to be the case, and kind of see if we can find a way to find inspiration and opportunity for collaboration without some sort of without getting rid of process, because we all know we need it. I know I need it. The teams I've worked on definitely benefit from it. But how do we do that? Really by focusing on relationships, the relationships within the process instead of the writ large process itself. So we'll see how that works. Okay, so I just want to say a little bit about the current challenges to innovation. So there is no doubt that emerging technologies are creating massive opportunities, not just for investments, but for investors, but also for those of us who really love technology. Whatever part of the technology world we're in, we all play a really crucial role, despite the sort of romantic, inventor in the garage, which happened, but a long time ago. In the environment now, especially with the massive amounts of data available in the world, especially as these open data projects ramp up more and more at the civic level. AI and robotics, augmented reality, micro electromechanical systems, nanomaterials, 3D printing, biotech, those are just a few things I could name off the top of my head. And there are many, many more that I've even seen in pretty mundane projects. 10 years ago, if we were looking at, for example, behavior change on the energy grid, it didn't have machine learning in it. Might have said big data, might have said analytics, but AI and machine learning and deep learning, they're all starting to come to the table now. And some of that's sort of just dropping those words for marketing reasons. And another one is really an impulse to figure out how to sort of like figure out what the next level of automation is going to be, and not just to become better at doing whatever job we do, but also integrating with human beings. That's a really tough challenge right now. Traditionally, there's a lot of horror stories out there that I'm not going to go into, but we all know them if we haven't lived them, where the value, the potential value of what we're trying to do in our innovation practices gets held up by traditional strategies of information scarcity. That's this idea where we might run out of it. So if we can hoard certain kinds of information and then build our products on it, then we get a leg up, and we get to sell more, we create barriers to entry, that sort of thing. But at this point, my argument is that patents, closed systems and poor skills are the result of that failure to capitalize on ideas, and especially in markets that are just breaking open. We're not going to be able to sort of do it that traditional way anymore. And one really good example of that is about two and a half years ago, Tesla opened up all of their patents. And if you look at how Tesla grew to be the company it is, it wasn't that they were necessarily inventing things from scratch. That what Elon Musk led the company in doing originally was bringing technologies to the table and integrating them into a vehicle. He wants to make a better electric vehicle. And that doesn't, to him, that means creating competition, that means enriching the ecosystem, and not standing alone. So any of us who know a little bit about biology or conservation know that monoculture is a bad idea. So keep that in mind as we move through this. So anybody that's an engineer may know this term. It's a really kind of weird one. It's pre-making the wheel, a play on remaking the wheel. So what happens in teams that have problematic corporate policies about using open source software or accessing certain sorts of open data and information is that they end up rewriting all the libraries or their source code or certain kinds of routines that exist in the wild. Cybersecurity code is a really good example of this as well. So instead of putting your product energy on oriented towards the innovation process, what happens is engineers spend a lot of time either rewriting this code, pre-making the wheel, pre-making the sort routines they might need or that sort of thing, instead of trying to figure out how they can be mission-driven in the innovation scenario that's been set out in front of the company or the team. So that's the other sort of funny thing about that too is I